Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Brev. Welcome back to another MLB The Show 22 video. We have returning guest Gutfoxx today, and we have a new guest McGunski. How are you doing, Gunsky?
Doing good.
I am ignoring Gutfoxx, so we'll skip right over him. Just kidding. How you doing, Fox?
We're fighting since we became a throuple, right?
Now that there's a third party in our couple, it's there's been some issues, but we're working through them with a therapist. So, Fox, how's it going?
I'm the therapist.
Good. Oh, okay. Are you gonna comment on our? How do you see this relationship falling out here? Is it gonna go with a bang or a whimper, Gunsky?
Oh, it's gonna be a hot, slutty mess, and that's what we're here for.
We're not in your channel, Gunsky. You can't say things like that. Like I had to audible my sentence halfway through.
No, you're good. That's the kind of therapist we want.
I even wear glasses, just saying.
So today we're doing top 10 infielder rankings. We did a top 10 outfielder rankings on Gutfoxx's channel. Link is in the description below. Go check him out as always. And we're doing top 10 starting pitchers on Gunsky's channel. That will also be in the description. So drop some subs to them and follow their stuff. Both great content creators. But for this video, we'll be doing top 10 infielders. So, Fox, do you want to start with your number 10, or if you have any honorable mentions?
I got people I want to talk about, like that Marte card. The only reason, so I haven't really used him much, that he just came out a couple days ago. The only reason why he's not here for me is that he's got like a balanced swing, so I didn't want to like go all wild and say, oh yeah, statistically he's all right, but that's one of my honorable mentions. I'll say my number 10 also. I got Baez at number 10. He's also a whole field hitter too, but I feel like his stats are there, right? Like a 5-tool-ish for me. So a couple guys that have been right there. And I got nothing else to say about them. They haven't really like performed insanely well. They're just statted decently. And that's why I got them.
Nice.
Have you used either of them? Do you like them?
Baez and Marte?
Yeah, this Noelve Marte?
Yeah, I've used Baez quite a bit over the years, and I generally like him. I don't have him in my top 10, though. And I did have Marte written down as an honorable mention as well, because I feel like he's probably really good, but I haven't used him yet. Still, I haven't picked him up, so I don't have an opinion on him.
Yeah, I'll just say boo to both of you right now, because this is where it's going to be very different.
I like it.
Gunsky's a Marte fan I'm picking up on.
Very big. Very, very big. And he's a great segue into the whole meta.
The new info you've been working on.
I like it. You don't often hear about this, like mid-year, like mind blower, like Gunsky's got going on for us today.
Yeah, Gunsky's got some crucial information on.
And again, I don't want to take credit for it because it definitely came from the conversation I had with Ochad. No, it's definitely, I mean, he opened my eyes and I was able to put 2 and 2 together too through his information. I went, oh, that explains some shit that I've been going, why is this happening? So,
yeah. And I mean, Chev is just as good as you are. You're both top 10 probably. So it's great minds coming together to change the meta, maybe. Pretty cool.
So if you're top 10, does that make me top 5, Gunsky?
Yeah. It absolutely would.
Fox is 1-0 versus Gunsky, and he's going to retire so he can brag about it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
There's not going to be a rematch, just like what Giraffe Neck Mark did. Play me on All-Star, I get hammered, and then it's like, oh, we ain't playing again. I get to hold this to you for the rest of your life. And it's like, cool, thanks.
Stop playing down to your terrible competition.
Yeah, like Brev, that's the thing is I don't understand why we brought Gunsky on here. We lowered the quality level of the player on this top 10.
We got Gunsky on so he can relate more to the average player.
That's what I'm here for. I'm here to give that insight.
That's amazing. Well, I'll just say my top 10 or my number 10. I have Babe Ruth, which I know Fox is gonna be upset.
Of course.
The only reason he's this low is because he only plays first in the infield. And Gunsky and I were chatting a little bit, but I did put a little bit more value in guys that could play multiple positions in the infield since it's just a overarching infielders list. So Ruth is awesome. I think he's a great first baseman, one of the best, but he's lower because he just plays first.
Fair enough.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
Position flexibility is important, but the thing about, like, you only ever play him at one position, right? So who cares?
Yeah, but it allows you to, like, do better stuff with your bench, or, you know, if you want to keep
things around.
Yeah, if you want to keep the guy in your squad but try a new card at the position they already play, you can do that and stuff like that. So,
and I definitely appreciate cards with that flexibility, dead ass. Like, that is one of the biggest things I will look at, because if I end up liking you and you're kind of pigeonholed into a certain spot, like you're stuck, and I go, well, there's this new card and I want both of you, kind of like in this situation where I have to be the therapist, you know.
You want both of us.
It makes it hard, right? George Brett's the biggest example of that. Like, yeah, people started getting crazy and using him out of position at second base, and I went, okay, like, yeah, you could do that, and it somewhat works, but if you want to turn a double play, let me tell you who's not turning it. George Brett. So I instantly went, yeah, he's stuck at third. I don't care. Like, he's the third baseman probably for the rest of the year, but that's going to suck, because I am going to want to try, you know, Miguel Cabrera. I'm going to want to try a lot of these cards that are coming out that are also going to be kind of stuck in one position.
That's why we need the freaking DH in this game. It's just disgusting we haven't got it yet.
I'm becoming more pro DH.
Yeah. Next year, I'm sure it's a thing.
Yeah, I agree. They can even market it.
Yeah, it's a good point, Brev. I feel like that's something so simple. Like, they got it in franchise, they got it all over the game already. Just like patch it in. Like, what do you? Okay, so I gotta ask this question. What do you think SDS devs do during the year of the game? Like, are they done? Is this like baked in? Are they just working on the next one? They got like their JV crew on like giving us like new uniforms and celebrations or something? Is there patches?
I think
interns here or what?
I think they have the content team working pretty hard, and the content team does awesome. I think a lot of like the gameplay engineering stuff, they probably move on to the next game pretty quickly, I would say. Just guessing by how little we've gotten this year.
But I mean, the game engineering team, to be fair, like this year's game is very similar to last year's game, though. Like, we got anchors and shoots and ladder. I don't know what else we got.
New animations that will be broken per usual. Hey, we've added another 500. Let's work on the other 500 you added the year before. Let's make sure those work first. How about that? That would be my stance. But I mean, when it comes to, I agree. Content team does great. Can things still be better? Of course, nothing's ever going to be perfect, but A+, I would still say. I knew it was going to be horrific this year in terms of gameplay the moment they said, well, the game is working as intended.
That pissed people off.
Yeah, I was going to say, the moment I heard that, I'm like, well, all I can do is laugh, you know, the rest of the year when bad things gameplay-wise are happening, because they made their stance known. And I don't think they legitimately think that, by the way. I don't think this is like, they really think the game is working great. This is how it should work. I think it's just a cop-out. All right, I just think it's easier to deflect to that as opposed to saying, you know, in what world should anyone make a video game where the PCI is not essentially the bat? This is where they're looking. Any other baseball game you think of, even backyard baseball, it was a bat.
Well, they're never going to publicly admit that they're having gameplay issues, especially on their own stream, too.
And that's why I'm saying, like, so when they say that, I don't take that as like, oh, they legitimately believe that. I just go, yeah, they legitimately know they can't fix it until they really go into a new engine. So for as long as we have this engine, expect that to be the result.
I will say, like, okay, the one benefit, and this isn't, the one benefit of Madden is that everybody knows the game sucks and nobody defends it. So like the entire community is like, yeah, the developer is full of shit, dog. It's true. Like, nobody's disagreeing with that take. And in this game, like, people will defend the fuck out of, like, it's just where they're looking, bro. Yeah. And it's a little frustrating, I feel like, because it doesn't feel like it's working. But let's get back to the top 10. Sorry, we got rant corner here.
So I came over prepared. Yeah, I came over prepared. So I have 5 notable mentions in this category.
Bagged it?
Yeah, before we come into number 10. But I'll start off quickly with the notable mentions. Carlos Correa's 94 Tops Now card. Gives you, he's only a shortstop, but you can put him at second or third out of position. His numbers don't drastically change defensively. Great swing per usual every year, and has decent stats to go with it. Brandon Drury.
One thing on Correa. Mm-hmm. I don't consider it card because it's horizontal. Dog, fuck these cards. Like, not usable.
Fair point.
How are you going to know how well they play if you have to turn your head to look at it? You can't even hit the ball. I don't want to
my neck cracks 3 times just looking at it.
He technically has the most vertical launch angle, though.
All right.
Card is cracked.
I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, just straight up.
Is that why I like him? Is that why the ball flies?
This is the top tier info.
We're literally going to get into a tinfoil hat theory where we're going to start believing cars that have their launch angles going up in the picture. Dude, they're the best ones.
That's why Benintendi always sucks, because he's just always him running somewhere because his card art.
So he just like grounds out, or like he doesn't got a bat. He can't hit. All right, sorry. What's your other honorable mentions? Sorry, I'm cutting you off.
Brandon Drury for position flexibility. His 93, which I believe was a April player of the month.
June,
yeah. June player of the month. Great card.
That card has pinch hitter quirk too, which
yeah,
is a pretty rare quirk.
Mm-hmm. And I like to think of him, at least on Legend, as the Randy Johnson killer. He still hits the ball well off of righties, but comes with a little bit of quirks. You can put him wherever you want. He has that flexibility, so he just fills in the gap wherever you need, especially if it's for a right-handed bat. Ketel Marte would be the third honorable mention, but he has the same problem as Clemente, tends to line out, but you do get a good PCI. You never feel out of the at-bat yourself, and he still will hit okay. Ellie De La Cruz is number 4 in the notable mentions, just because he will play into the meta. I just don't think he's going to have as high as contact as you would want, but he's going to have more power than contact, so that does give you an advantage. And then to fit that same mold, Cody Bellinger's 98 as a first baseman, but I think most people use him as an outfielder. So nice. Those are my 5 notable mentions. Number 10,
I don't want to say anything because we might get to him a little bit later on the list. But yeah, go on.
Number 10 though, Josh Jung, 96, Future Stars. He is going to be, again, you can look at him as a little bit better at the plate, Clemente. But there is something about his swing where the ball does jump more. Kind of like with JD Martinez that we mentioned on your channel. I mean, it's just, there's certain cards that are going to have the it factor, and whether it's launch angle, whether it's something about them, even though they could be similar stat wise or at least comparable, they definitely play different. And I think Josh Jung fits that mold.
Where are you playing this card? Where would you play this card at?
Wherever you really feel like is necessary, because that's what on this list I literally went for position flexibility, because I think that's important across the infield. But even the fact that Josh Jung can play left, right, shortstop, first base, and second base, and third base, wherever you need a card that you want to mess around and try something, if you have a hole, I think Josh Jung is definitely something that you give him a look.
Sometimes I feel like you're too good at this game, Gunsky. I'm looking at this card. I'm like, no shot, dog. All right, there's no way I'm putting him at first or third.
I agree.
Second short, he's slow.
Well, let's put it this way: at second base, who would you put above him?
At second
Maybe
base,
Jackie, but that's 1.5 mil. So
Ketel, I'd put above him. I'd do Jose Ramirez, Eduardo Escobar, Dansby Swan. I mean, I'm blowing my list, dog.
Maybe, but
you don't like
the second base is
Jung.
a weak...
Like he's not even like okay. Oh yeah, I'm just gonna believe you because I guess I didn't use Jung that much, but man, really.
But again, I think people would be crazy to use him in the outfield, and he's not going to play meta wise out there, right? A little bit slower, but second base, I think, is where you would find a lot of people giving him a shot. It's a weaker position for sure. Maybe even shortstop.
I agree.
You gotta stop judging our therapist. He's here to help us.
Yeah. It's going to be 1 point taken away for tonight.
Oh, shoot. My housemates at Gryffindor are going to hate me. All right. Okay, so sorry. Am I next? Number 9 on the list?
Mm-hmm.
You didn't put number 9 down either.
Infielder. Oh,
I
didn't write. Yeah, I didn't write this down. Dang it! I'm so shocked by it because I feel like okay, if Munsky debuts somebody on his YouTube channel, they're gonna look like the baddest motherfucker in the history of the universe because of how good you are. Jung, you can make you can do a bronze challenge and you can make it look like Andrew McCutcheon out there almost. But yeah, that's what I was just wondering. I never even he didn't even cross my radar for this list. It's just that's why you're blowing my mind, which I love. Sorry if it sounded accusatory.
No, it's fine. That's why I said I definitely think this list will be very different probably from your guys's. That's great.
All right, my number 9 is Napoli. Also my highest rated catcher. I feel like there's a decent bit of competition at catcher here, and there's been a few of them all year. We got Diego right here at catcher is a pretty good one. He's got over 100s every single contact and power version. Also an incredible fielder. Piazza, same thing, over 100s in every single contact, power. Soto came out's pretty decent too. But I think Napoli actually, I think I gotta look at him on the block. Napoli is just got that it factor, the power, contact, and that's why I got my catcher Napoli there. But I think there's a ton of options.
I agree. Yeah. I think Napoli's pretty significantly better than everyone else at catcher, but there's still a lot of good cards you can use.
Yeah, there's definitely usable options, but I definitely think Mike Napoli is if you look around, there's a lot of people, and I'm not talking catcher, I mean in the infield, where you go, well, they're comparable to this guy, they're comparable here. When you look at catcher, then you look at Napoli and then start looking around at the other options, I go, I don't think there's that much of a comparison. He is clear cut. Doesn't mean that there isn't fun options running around, but he is night and day compared to what I would say is the second best option.
You guys don't look at catcher defense this year.
No. Maybe arm. Yeah, maybe arm, but even then, man, if you hit the way Napoli does, I do not care.
Yeah, and bad defensive catchers still block the ball a decent amount. Most of the time it's fine. But yeah, the Napoli attributes, if you told me that was a Jimmy Fox collection reward, I would have believed you if you just showed me the attributes. It's pretty insane. For
power lefties, not a problem.
I'll let Gunsky talk about power lefties because we were chatting about it before.
Yeah, I'll blow your mind, I promise you.
Yeah.
So we're gonna wait for you to put him on your list. All right.
Yeah. He's just fine against lefties for sure. All right, number 9. Kind of sad I have him this low, but I have Pujols here.
Ooh,
I think I'm getting
think about him.
I think I'm getting a bit of fatigue with him, but he's still one of my best hitters. He's kind of in a weird spot for me where he's still top 10. I still want to use him all the time, but he's getting cycled out just a little bit, and there's constantly cards I want to try. In the infield too, he only plays in the corners, which is the hardest position to fit someone in. So that's why he's a bit lower too, because first and third are the deepest positions by a lot.
And you don't use him in the outfield?
I have before, especially early game, getting him launch week. He was insane out there. He plays fine in the outfield, but I have him on my bench right now.
Okay.
And he gets 125 contact. I have him super fractured, which is nice. Contact versus right. He's almost, now that I think about his splits a little bit, he's pretty close to Machado. So maybe I should have had Machado rated higher, but I really like the Pujols card all year.
Really? I thought Machado was a little bit, he's got terrible power versus righty though.
Yeah.
Who does?
76 power righty.
Machado.
76 power righty.
Oh, yeah. Machado. Pujols has him beat by a lot there.
Yeah. So, yeah, I here's the thing. It's Pujols, I think the only reason, if this card was released today, I think people would love it. The fact this came out at launch is crazy to me. How overpowered he was. And he had a really nice swing this year. I felt like he was my best hitter for a long time. Him and Trout. And talk about fall off during the outfielders list. We didn't even talk about Trout.
Yeah,
we're getting a 99 at some point. I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, but that's like he was like. Oh, we don't want. This is not the outfielders list, but yeah, Pujols. I think I agree. It's only fatigue is why people aren't using it.
I would agree with that. I still think stat wise, very usable, and if you've never used him, he would be a fun card. But that's the problem. He's been around so long that he does get overlooked, and he wouldn't be as fun because you just use him so much. So
yeah, and there's new shiny toys out there. Yeah. Gunski, what do you got for number 9?
My number 9, especially when you guys, I mean, this is where I said it's going to be very different. I decided to try and get 2 catchers in here. So one of them would be Mike Piazza. I think he's the most comparable. Like, he at least sniffs Mike Napoli's jockstrap. That's not saying much.
I'm jealous.
I mean, even when I'm looking at comparing these 2 cards, how one's a 96 and the other's a 97, don't get it. At all. Don't understand. For there to be a 1 overall difference, I don't get it. But Mike Piazza is the second best catching option, I think, currently in the game.
I feel like sometimes they definitely just slap a number in the corner.
100%. 100% they do that.
I feel like they did it with Cattell.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know how Cattell's a 93. But yeah. Did you have 2 at number 9, or was it just Piazza?
No, it was just Piazza.
Gotcha. You were saying you're different because you have 2 catchers in the top 10. I got you.
Just to kind of rotate around, give different looks and options. So I felt like I'll find a way to get 2 catchers in here.
I honestly love Piazza this year. I think he played super well for me. Cartaya is pretty similar attribute-wise, so I'm excited to try that card too.
Yeah, and they've made Piazza's swing, I think, better. He's more usable. I just don't think if you're looking to be competitive and not necessarily have the most fun, so this is a top 10 ranking for a reason. Yeah, it's Napoli. You would be the best catcher in the game. Not close.
So do you think they have like fixed the swings on some of these guys? Because we were on the outfielder list, we brought up Soriano, and I was talking about how I feel like he feels way better this year too. Do you feel like that's similar with Piazza, and do you think they like literally went in and changed their swing, or do you think what's the reason they play better?
I definitely think when you look at the cards that people complained about the most last year, Piazza, Soriano, I'm drawing a blank on who the third one was that you would hear
Mike
constantly.
Mike
Schmidt every year.
Yeah.
But the cards that people complained about the most due to a longer swing path, a slower swing, something about it, right? Where it was like, they're just different. Like, it's impossible to turn on something unless you're looking for it, you get it, and you knew to swing earlier than you should. They definitely kind of targeted those cards to change them up a little bit.
Yeah,
and I think he was on that list. Mike Piazza was.
With Piazza and Soriano, for me personally, there's been a drastic. You can really feel the changes with how their cards play this year. It's kind of crazy. Yeah, a big fan of both of those cards.
So I got a general question about the game and how it plays. Is like, do you guys think there should be good and bad swings, or should everything kind of equalize out?
I think good and bad swings makes the game awesome. Gunski talked about it in the outfielder list, but having things that differentiates cards besides their attributes, I think, is really important for making the game more fun and having a lot of variety. Gunski, what do you think?
I mean, in a perfect world, I don't think everyone should have the same swing, but I don't think people should have swings like Soriano did last year. I mean, have a new legend that everyone's excited for, and you go, well, fuck, I don't want to use them. I can't turn on anything. So to have that caliber of a card instantly go to waste. It wasn't even just like, oh, well, this is something I can, learn a little bit. Like it's minimal, and so I can adjust in X amount of games, and then it will become very usable. That's actually not plausible. It would make more sense to just take someone who statistically is worse but has a better swing at that moment. And that was early on in the game.
something like hot zones where they're really good at hitting a pitch in a certain zone, or maybe because you know got quirks that like, but not all cards have quirks. Like
I don't think there should be hot zones because then it becomes, in theory, what's going to happen. I'm not against a knowledge gap, but if you're going to tell me I'm going to square up a pitch, but because somebody threw it in a cold zone and it's like super dotting, right? They're just going to keep targeting that cold zone. So even though I'm scoring it up and I'm going to get, penalized for that, no. So what if someone has a cold zone down the middle?
Yeah, here's the thing, is like I think you ruined the game last year. I don't know if you know that, but remember that one video you put out about being able to put the ball in the corner of the plate the whole time on ledge difficulty, and then they overextended the PCI and they ruined it. Yeah, that's on you, bro.
Well, it wouldn't have been on me, but I mean, once I faced it about every other game, I decided, well, the cat's out of the bag. People clearly know about this.
It is very.
That goes against my narrative. It goes against my narrative, so I'm not listening. McGunski ruined 21.
Don't get me wrong. A lot of people hold that narrative, and I was just like, well, I mean, I don't really care. The fact that it went on for this long, and it is no surprise. I mean, it wasn't their first time knowing it from me alone. They knew, and I was told different things of when fixes would happen. So I just said, you know what? Clearly, what was supposed to happen wasn't. I'll just go and talk about it. Force your hand. Because this is ridiculous.
Fox, I can't even believe you hang out with both of us. Gunski got the PCI range extended, and then I made high off-speed pitches useless, pretty much.
I'm really slumming it, aren't I? No, I'm the guy that showed off how to disconnect people last year and got crap for that one. that was patched within 10 days. Like I know they knew about it like almost near launch. And it wasn't what I did that like 3 months into the game, and then it got patched within like a week and a half of me putting out that video. So yeah, sometimes you do need to expose these things to a wider audience. Otherwise the developer's like, oh, that's a low important issue, and they'll push it to the bottom, even though it's like a huge issue. Until you sometimes have to push their hand. And I see the same thing with Madden. So like you'll catch a lot of crap for it, but just you hold the line. You know how it works better than anybody else. So I just wanted to bring that up. But all right, I'm next, number 8 on the list. Mine is Dansby Swanson. Now, I actually went into games and looked at his tendency. He's an extreme pull hitter, and I don't know if you guys have used Dansby yet, but he's kind of cool. Like I haven't really like used him a lot as my starter is. You guys, you're looking at it on the field right here, could tell, and Jackie at the moment. But Dansby, like great contact, good power, speed, defense, everything. That kind of like a 5 tool. Maybe not like over 100 power, but decent enough. What do you guys think about Dansby?
Dansby, I have him higher on the list.
Nice. Spoiler alert.
I would have Dansby slightly higher on this list too. I definitely think there's cards when they have extreme pull tendency, like one that I'll compare it to is Mookie. It's a cheat code. If you have Mookie, I'll pitch you outside every time. I'll take off the shift and pitch you away. You will not hit a home run. I can guarantee you're going to stay in the ballpark. Righty, I'll just keep pitching you away. Hit it hard. It's going to come off that bat weak, so have fun. But Dansby Swanson, it may say extreme pull. He has quite a few opposite home runs for me that were just lasers on out. So that's why I definitely say like certain cards may say certain things, but they don't play that way.
Well, extreme pull. I don't know if you know this. You don't watch my YouTube channel, so obviously you know. But extreme pulls, it opens up the timing windows to. I was on a call and I told you this like months ago. It opens up the timing windows to pitches on the inside part of the plate. So you can still smash the ball away, go in the opposite direction. It's just a little bit harder than say like a push hitter, like Jimmy Fox, the push hitter, or like whole field hitters got like similar timing windows or whatever across the plate. So that's why like the meta is like throwing it hard inside, sinkers, fastballs, that kind of stuff. So extreme pull, like your timing window is slightly bigger on the inside and makes it easier to pull the ball. Keep it fair, get it over the fence. Than somebody with like whole field, and that's why it feels better with guys like Mike Trout pulling the ball.
Well, so even then, Mookie can't hit the ball the other way for shit. So that's all I know. So I'm always, every time someone's got that card, I go free out, or at worst, you get a single. I don't care. Go for it. Use them.
Well, nice part about Dansby is he gets shifted, but he's super fast. So like. If you hit a ball against the shift, it's a guaranteed double for sure.
That's hot.
And I never drag bunt, but it might work. I don't know. It's a little bit weird with righties, but you could probably bunt against the shift. Not sure.
Wow. Not gonna lie, that's my line, dog. You bunt. I
bunt with Swanson.
I might
even.
bring up. Yeah, that's too far. What can you do to some of the internet? I might try and cancel you, dude. That's terrible.
Someone drag bunted with Jackie on me the other day. So disgusting.
Did it work?
Yes, it worked.
Really?
That's why I'm mad about it.
Somebody did that to me in events, and he got out both times. I'm like, what are you doing? I didn't. So they must have been just better at it than against you.
The 1.5 million sub triangle button. You love to see it. My number 8, I have Corey Seager home run derby.
Ooh.
And I don't know if he made either of your top 10, but this is the guy I was referring to earlier when we were doing outfielders. This dude is the absolute king of hitting home runs with your PCI not touching the ball.
Yeah.
He has, maybe not quite because I haven't paralleled, but I think he has the most power attributes of any of the base round guys. Plays 3 positions. Obviously, the defense is bad. I would play him at second or third. But yeah, I'm still hitting over 500 with him. It was some Hall of Fame, some Legends, so Hall of Fame juiced it a bit. But
yeah,
on Legend, I will literally swing with good timing and miss the ball, and he'll hit a no-doubter, like, consistently. And he's about the only person that does that in my lineup on Legend, so he's been getting a lot more reps. I have him on an alt account that doesn't have George Brett, so he's been perfect at third.
I had him on my list, and then I felt like you guys might have bullied me because I called you me like an all-star like piece of shit, because I did love him. I mean, he's slow. But like, I ended up taking him out and got bullied, and I was like, oh shit. I guess I would have been right to keep him on the list. Yeah, I love Seager. Seager's card's been pretty decent for a while. I was like 17 when he had like the swing in the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
and then he got that World Series MVP card in 20. That was absurd.
Wow, I don't. I might not have been into the game as much around the World Series, as that's Madden season. But yeah. I don't remember that one as much. Gunsky, do you remember that one?
Which one?
16? The World Series MVP, Corey Seager.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I remember him. He didn't have the same swing as say in 16 or 17.
Yeah.
But it was still a really good swing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we were just reminiscing on Corey Seager cards. That's all we were doing.
Yeah. So you can get it.
I don't know. I've always been someone who wasn't necessarily like, I like this swing, but he wasn't my favorite. His cards never piqued my interest per se. Like, yeah, they were fun, but like, for example, 99 McCutcheon this year, I've always loved this swing. He's been one of my favorite cards. He's not the Corey Seager to like a lot of people.
Yeah. So. I remember in our first tier list, Brev, where I put McCutcheon at number 10, and like you were like, what? Why? And I was like, I love it. I love him. So he gave me those stats there.
His swing's always awesome. I love McCutcheon too.
Yeah. All right, Gunsky, who's your 8?
Number 8 is going to be Ralphie Two Scoops. You can play him at third or first.
Was that Russian? The fuck?
Ralphie
is he like the RSL?
Ralphie Bombs, Rafael Devers. I think he's a card he plays above his stats. Now, against righties, I would say he plays to his stats, but against lefties where he would only have 84 power, at least in my experiences, just is not the case. So I kind of look at him as the free budgety option. If you don't have George Brett or you don't have Frank Thomas, you can play him at whichever first or third that you want. I mean, whatever gap needs to be filled. Has a swing. I'm trying to see. He has some quirks, but not the what I would deem OP one, like two or where you have 2 strikes, PCI gets a little bit bigger, or at least on the first pitch, you at least get that. He doesn't have either of those, but he still has Road Warrior, Day Player, and Breaking Ball Hitter. I do think Dead Red and Breaking Ball are good ones to have, but he doesn't have the situational hitter ones.
I don't know if you saw that. There was like a post on the subreddit a while back ago about apparently Road Warrior actually gives you a negative when you're playing at home, and Day Player gives you a negative when you're playing at night. So it's like
Did not know that.
Yeah, they kind of like bounce off each other. It's so I don't really look at those that much anymore after seeing that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, it's kind of disappointing, but like it is what it is. I guess they have balancing reasons for it.
Do they?
But yeah, do that.
I've never heard of that, so that's interesting to me. I mean, I get why that would make sense, but
yeah,
it should just be, well, their stats are their stats, and then when they're playing during the day, they get a slight boost, and when they're playing at night, nobody cares. Their stats are their stats. You don't ding them for it.
Yeah, that's what you'd think.
Mm.
But yeah, it was weird because that's the first time I heard of that too. I guess I didn't even check into if that's actually true. I don't know if somebody could back that up or not. Like, I'm just taking it at face value because they don't tell us this shit.
When I was looking into the quirks, I only tested them like when they were on, not when they were off. So I don't know either, for sure.
Yeah, shoot. All right, my number 7. This was a tie between Devers and Ruth, so I just put Ruth here. I think this is kind of like the 1A, 1B that I put like corner infielder, well, first baseman. So I put Babe Ruth there just because, you know, I love him so much. But Devers is right there with me. So Devers is technically, quote unquote, off my list, but I do love Devers. You know, free card, and he's got those kind of attributes. It's kind of insane. But then, like, Babe Ruth's got the power versus lefties, too. And he doesn't have the quirks. He doesn't have that breaking ball quirk, but he's just got, you know, the thickness. And he's got the, you know, look good, hit good. Like, you come out with a guy on base, and you can point to the center field fence. You can hit one over there. You feel like $1 million.
Cigar in mouth. Amazing. Yeah. So do you have Devers at 6 then?
No, I got them both at 7, but I put Babe Ruth there. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Sorry, who do you got?
My number 7 is Mike Napoli.
Nice.
Best catcher in the game for sure. But I'm kind of in the Fox boat where if you really, for some reason, he's not clicking, you have options. So I didn't have him rated higher just because, you know, I think anyone behind him I also love. Like, I love Mauer. I love Piazza. I love Jimmy Fox even. So I didn't have him top 5 because there's enough behind him where, I don't know. Maybe that shouldn't be a knock on the card, but I guess it was when I did this list.
I mean, here's a good question to ask. You know, it kind of goes along with, does a bear shit in the woods? Have you ever seen anyone not rake with Mike Napoli?
You should see my chat and YouTube comments.
Oh, all right. Well, in my experiences, anytime I face him, he's 4 for 4 with probably 4 nukes. Anytime I use him, it's the same thing. So that's why I'm like, I don't think I've ever seen anybody struggle with this card. But if people do, then they do.
I think
it would be odd to me, though. I mean, he's got the swing, stats, all of it.
I think most people that don't like Napoli are people that have never used Napoli, to be honest. Okay. But I feel like they need to express an opinion.
He's like a pair of shoes. Takes a little bit to get broken in.
Not even. He's like the easiest card to use ever. His swing is
it's pretty straightforward.
Insane. I don't know.
That's fair.
Number 7 for me would be Dansby Swanson. So I got him a little bit higher than you, Gutfoxx. Again, he gives you the position flexibility, and he plays, I would deem, the 2 most important positions, second base and shortstop. Those are the harder ones to really find players that you do enjoy and like. There just isn't many options there. I do think power-wise, he does play decent, but not how I would think someone with 90 power should play. He definitely has lined out a good amount for me, but he's still not bad. I mean, if you still hit around 380 and you're lining out for 30% of your ABs, it's like, imagine if you get a little bit of luck on your side, right? Those numbers could drastically change. Great defense, good arm, second base, shortstop, whatever you need. I think he's a good filler.
Yeah, it definitely feels like middle of the infield is like the minor leagues compared to the, you know, first and third baseman with the quality of cards that we got. So yeah, that's why I had him decent on my list too.
Dansby's got the diamond shield at short with the good speed too. Plays great defense to go along with the swing. So great card.
Absolutely. I think we're all on that train. Yeah. All right. It's mine next. Number 6 on my list is a switch hitting son of a gun, Eduardo Escobar. This card.
Thing number 6.
You have this card in your inventory now, Fox?
I do. Last one I forgot to do the set, and I screwed it. So we talked about this during the outfielder list, but Eduardo Escobar here, he's one of the switch hitters that has it's weird because like almost every single switch hitter as a righty hitter is balanced or whole field hitting, but as a lefty hitter he's like a pull hitter. So it's weird that they do that. I don't know if like SDS doesn't know that when their switch hitters are hitting righties, they're all whole field instead of what it says on the cards or instead of what it says on the roster control. But it is what it is. Overall, well balanced. Contact power, both above 90s across the board there. Good defense, speed at mid to high 50s isn't incredible, but for a middle infielder, I actually don't mind him. I actually don't mind him at all. He seems to work well for me. So yeah, that's why I got Eduardo Escobar there at 6.
He also has red, which is awesome, and plays a ton of positions.
Yeah, that flexibility that Gunsky loves out of his gymnasts so much.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. All right, Brev's up.
I wasn't expecting to see Escobar on the list, but I kind of
wasn't either.
I do kind of like it.
Off meta, baby.
My number 6 is Cattell.
Ooh. The switch hitting goon.
He's dropped a bit for me. I think it's just fatigue again. But yeah, he's amazing when he's not lining out. So take that how it is. Like I think he's hitting around 400 for me. He'd be hitting like 500 if he didn't line out all the time. But he with the switch hitting and the contact and the good swing and everything, he at least puts me in a position to take a good swing, more so than other cards. So like yeah, sometimes I line out off that good swing, but with other cards I might not have even taken the good swing in the first place. So I don't know. He's kind of a weird one. It's kind of weird that I don't have him in the top 5, but he's pretty close.
Yeah, it's still pretty high on this list. There's some incredible like no-brainers in the top. So him getting 6 is kind of pretty high up there still as a 93 overall.
Right.
Yeah. All right, Gunsky.
For number 6, I have a 6A and B just because they're the same card. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't know how to differentiate them. 99 David Ortiz as like I'll give him 6A. Just for a slight little difference, and then 6B is going to be Carlos Delgado. Both lefty. At least with Delgado, you can put him in left, although that's going to be a nightmare, but it is doable. You get at least that little flexibility from him, but again, both lefties, both are going to hit righties better than lefties. At least I think David Ortiz has a little bit more power, but Delgado had a little bit more contact versus left as opposed to the power. So that one is just it's what's your flavor. I mean, they're identical, and their swings I don't think are going to be drastically different, right? I don't think one has a much better swing than the other.
The crazy thing about Ortiz is like I'm just like there's so many good first basemen. I just like didn't really bother grinding his program that much. Like I got a little done, but like the card's cool. Card's great stats, right? Over 100 against everything. Speed, defense is pretty trash, but it just feels like it's nice, but like
he's no Frank Thomas.
At this point, I think people just like have their guy at first. Like it's gonna take a big drop for someone to get off of their first baseman. I think with all the cards we've already gotten.
I mean, who do you think could push out Frank?
A lot of people don't like Frank.
Yeah, that is insane to me. Cause...
yeah, I know you love Frank, but a lot of people hate Frank. Personally, I think Frank's awesome. I don't know, maybe some postseason cards, or if the next collection. I don't know. They already did Brad, so maybe not. I don't know. Frank's a goon. I don't know who would push him off.
I mean, like even like Pete Alonso with 123 power both ways. Like I said, you can get it with 125 easily in the parallels, but like You got Pete Alonso there. You got Toglia is also a really good first baseman, and he's a switch, which provides that value versus like Ortiz or whatnot. But yeah, one that would push him out. That's a darn good question. Like a legitimate Ryan Howard, maybe. Yeah, they'll always give some crazy cards like Brev said, but yeah, that's what I kind of like. I'm mid on Ortiz and not that super crazy about grinding him. My number 5 is very similar to Brev's number 6. I also got Cattell there at 5 just because of the middle infield. Like I said, it's like minor league baseball versus like the absolute destroyers of worlds on the corners. So he brings a good amount of flexibility there and contact and switch hitting. So he's kind of that Swiss Army knife except for power. But what is that, 4 tools? He's got him. Brev, number 5.
All right, number 5. I'm going back and forth on my 4 and my 5 in my head right now, but I think hold on, I have to look again. I think at 5 I'm gonna have Devers.
Ooh, okay.
Devers is still my starting first baseman. I don't know if on the second account, obviously the first one has Frank.
Oh, okay. I was like, we're just
yeah,
about
I should
Frank.
probably clarify.
Frank's awesome. He's the best thing since sliced bread. Nobody's gonna beat him. Now Devers is the guy I'm actually starting.
No. What a terrible sentence. I need to talk better. On the alt, still my starting first baseman. But yeah, like Gunsky said, plays up versus lefties in my opinion, and great versus righties. Obviously, plays 2 positions. I think he's amazing. I think he is, still very much viable, even though he's been out for a couple months now. And yeah, I just like him a lot. He's got basically Napoli stats too, but minus a little bit of contact. So just for a comparison, pretty
yeah,
good.
And like, even if like you push him off, he's still like an incredible bench piece too for you, to pinch hit and stuff. That's where kind of I'm using him at the moment. So yeah, even though might be using him at first base, he's still there to like bring in case. Like I know, like Gunsky, you want to describe what your thought process is? Like I talked a lot about the switch hitters and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you care as much about switch hitting anymore, or like you're fine going with pure one side? Because I value switch hitter much more than you guys do. It looks like.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, like me hitting righty, I don't care who you got. They could throw 180. I'm going to be confident righty or righty-lefty. So to me, a righty has the same utility as a switch hitter does to a lot of other people. It's just, that's where I'm comfortable. I recognize that. I don't care about matching other people's lineups because, again, last year I had 8 righties in my lineup, and I would see comments all the time. Why would you do that? You don't want a lefty? You don't want a switch hitter? I'm not you. You're not me. I know what works for me, and this is what works. Like, it just does.
Yeah.
And so I think more people should be open to understanding where their advantage is and where it's not. You don't have to follow somebody to a T or fit something that you think is the mold. There's a lot of things people do differently that end up making them much better, even though it's not, say, meta or what you think should be the case. Switch hitters, I still think there's more of a value for me this year than just a pure righty because of the PCI anchor. I'm able to take advantage of that. And that brings back switch hitters for me, or even lefties, as opposed to just kind of avoiding it.
Yeah, and lefties are the reason why I love lefties, but I can't hit lefty, I feel like, to save my life. So that's why I love the switch so much, is that I'm bailed out of. I get the advantage of being able to hit lefty, but then I'm bailed out of having not faced lefty matchups, especially against like assassins like Randy Johnson.
Yeah.
So
well, when you have a bunch of righties in your lineup and your opponent's pitching righty most of the game, they can get pretty predictable in the way that they're pitching too. Like you just see tons of sinkers in, and if you can catch on, you can turn on it. Like, I don't know. I feel like having a bunch of righties is totally fine. I think over the years, my preferred lineup is something like 2 switch, 4 right, 2 left, or something.
Which oddly enough is exactly what mine is right now. It is exactly it to a T.
I just hit right on right so much better than I hit left on left, and I'm not sure why. Maybe it's a repetition thing, but
yeah,
I definitely think that's the biggest part.
You can get a lot of little tiny advantages, or like make your opponent pretty predictable by having a lot of the same handedness in your lineup for sure.
Yeah, because even when I'm on the mound, I'm thinking about that. Like, if I face the same, usually against the opposite hand, I'm like, oh my god, how do I attack another guy on that side of the plate without going through the same sequence I just did with my, like, out pitches and stuff. Then you got to start thinking. Then you get in your head. Then boom, you hang one and it's gone out of the world. So yeah, a lot of value there. All right, sorry to interject, Gunski, on your 5.
My number 5. I know this is going to be the hotter take. Not the hottest, but a hotter take. I understand a lot of people this year didn't like Javi Baez, right? That his swing is a little bit different. He lifts his leg way earlier. I would agree to some extent. Maybe his swing is a tad bit slower. It's definitely not the same, and I can't quite put my finger on it. But at the end of the day, yeah, diamond defense, basically a creative player at second base. It was like almost 99s across the board. Had good speed. And still hit well in a position where there wasn't many options for the time that he was released. I really didn't think that there was anyone that, even though I wasn't the biggest fan of his swing, there was no one that was pushing me off of him. And so I still think he's viable. Now, I do have someone I would put higher than him today, but that'll be for later. But he's still very good. And maybe you're not running a creative player, so maybe the 2 that I'll mention could be shortstop, second base. I mean, I definitely think if you could get past his swing, he's definitely one of the best options in the middle infield for sure.
Well, I told Brev about this last time we did a list, and I'll tell you right now. The thing about being in strike zone view is that you won't see that. It's just like righties and lefties. Like, if you're in strike zone view, it doesn't matter because you can't see your batter if you're a right-handed or left-handed batter.
But you still see it. I'll tell you that much. Yeah, I still see it. Oh.
He got that as someone like ripped him over that and said that righty-lefty doesn't matter because he's using strike zone camera.
If they're ready,
they got a special zoom feature. I mean, I may be interested. I would love to know. What was that, a year or 2 ago, where on the PlayStation you could play in strike zone and then zoom in even more through the PlayStation app or something like that? That's probably what they're doing. Like, I don't see anything. Oh, good for you, I guess.
Zoom. Have you ever done that where you can invert colors?
Yeah, I do it when I can't see the ball. When people are cheesing with their created stadiums or something, you can invert colors and the ball's black.
That's hot.
I never even thought
you do that on PlayStation. I don't know if you can do that on Xbox though.
That's true. I've only ever played on PlayStation.
Is it weird that like last year I was like I didn't want to match up with PlayStation players, but this year whenever I go against PlayStation players, even if they got a good record, I'm like, oh, this guy's gonna be trash. It's gonna be a lot easier.
That's how it is in Madden too.
I like Madden. I play on both, but like, is it weird? Like, it feels like Xbox all of a sudden got better competition level over the course of 1 year.
Well, because a lot of the good players switched over.
Yeah, all the comp players switched to Xbox for the input lag thing.
Do you guys believe? Didn't the guy that won the tournament play on PlayStation?
I couldn't tell you who won, to be honest. Is that bad to me?
I was gonna say I definitely think he plays on PlayStation, but he's also like 16, maybe 17, so he's got the crackhead reactions, so it makes up for it. Yeah. As somebody who made the switch, I'll definitely tell you, when people were saying, "Oh, you get to play in 120 frames and all that stuff," I was like, "Yeah, that's cool," even though like that's not true. Like, fine, whatever. It was, for me, day one, I noticed, even though the controller that I was using at the time hated it, absolutely hated it, but I noticed that there was no input delay. So even though I hated the controller, the feel, everything, I was still earlier than I would have been on PlayStation. So I was like, man, if I just find something that I like, this is going to be interesting.
And now you gotta thrust master, right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
See, I still haven't made the switch, so you are making me feel like I should make that a priority.
Yeah, don't buy like $160 controller. I got like a Power A controller, like $30. They're as good.
Yeah.
Like, it's something I tried to tell people early on about Xbox and the input lags, because like PlayStation controllers are wireless. Even when you plug it in Bluetooth, it doesn't change the input delay. Whereas these things are wired, so you can definitely feel it on the Xbox, a little bit better responsiveness.
Going back to Baez, I think he was pretty underrated when he came out. I think, he was a World Series reward, and he was really expensive for a long time, and then we started getting all this new content. I think it says a lot that on your list, Gunski, that he has kind of like survived the entire All-Star Game Home Run Derby content drop and is still top 5. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and speaks
if you
to how
square it
good
up
the
with
card
him,
is.
it leaves.
Yeah.
I mean, with Dansby, like I said, he had a line out problem. Javi doesn't mean he never lined out, but it's definitely drastically less. And if you, like I said, if you squared it up with him, or you also would get the no touchies too. He mashed. He got on base. He get hit ball in the gap. Even if he had a single, he was scoring. Played amazing defense. There isn't many cards that I really think you could say that about right now. At second or short, really.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Mm.
They're making me regret not having him on my list.
Me at 10 didn't quite do that to you, huh?
There's a difference
Fox's
between 10
opinion.
and 5.
Yeah, Fox's opinion. Throw that shit in the trash. Who cares? Yeah.
Not at
all right,
all.
my number 4 will be Jose Ramirez. I just like hitting dingers, and he knows how to do it from both sides of the plate. So,
assuming home run derby, right?
Yeah, obviously. Okay. Yeah, definitely. So it's like Seager but a switch, and I'll play him at second base. 66 speed, defense is fine. Obviously not going to overtake a certain player at third base here. That's sure to come up on the lists. But overall, 117 power. I guess 115 power stock as a switch. I just feel comfortable. I think he's got a nice. I think he has the pull swing as a righty, balance swing as a lefty. But again, I'm here for the switch. I think that's 3 switch hitters and for me in a row, because of their flexibility, and that's kind of what I enjoy. I really do. Brev, what are your thoughts on Ramirez?
He's got the small strike zone too, which is nice. It's something I like with Mullins. We talked about Mullins in the outfield list. Pretty small strike zone, and can definitely go above that zone and crush one. So it definitely limits your opponent's options when there's. It's almost like he has a normal top of the zone, but that part's a ball if they throw it there. So
it does confuse me though. Sometimes when I throw that high fastball, I'm like, oh, that's a strike, and then I swing, I'm like, damn it, that was way out of it because he's so much smaller. Like, imagine going from like Judge back to back with like Ramirez here.
Yeah,
like it must be a little hard to remember not to swing at high fastballs.
But the thing with J-Ram is like they can elevate the fastball above the zone, and he'll just still go up and get it if it's low enough. So yeah,
also true. Yeah,
card's nasty.
And those balls fly out of the plate if you get your PCI on it too. It's out of the park.
Yeah, you get automatic launch angle with them.
Yeah. So that's why I like this. That's why I like this, card doing what he does. Position flexibility too. So anyways, Brev, you're 4.
All right. I have a 4A and 4B.
Ooh.
So I have 2 days ago who was my definitive best shortstop in the game, which is Dansby Swanson. He's the 4A. And then my 4B is the guy over the last 2 days that has jumped up dramatically and is pushing for best shortstop for me. And this is going to surprise you guys, but it's Ellie De La Cruz.
Really?
So you're telling me I should take him out of notable mention and at least give him a shot?
You should use him. He his stats versus lefties aren't great, I'll say that, but he's obviously a switch hitter, so that helps. He reminds me a lot of Mauricio from last year with better stats. He is tall, I'll say that. He's 6'5", which is a benefit on defense, which I'll talk about. But he's been crushing everything. I think his swing's amazing. Like, if I have good timing, he's hitting the ball hard. He's elevating the ball. And then defensively, he's played out of his mind. So we'll see this with O'Neal Cruz later in the year, probably. But he's 6'5", playing shortstop. And with the way dives are this year, it makes his range like so broken. Like, the player monitors are already kind of too big for the field, and he can like take one step and almost dive to second base, I swear, because he's so tall. And we never like Gloss is that tall, and he can play shortstop, but Gloss isn't fast. Like, besides literally O'Neal Cruz, I don't know that I've ever used a shortstop that was fast with good fielding and that tall.
You want to use a cap?
Yeah, a cap, I guess. True. But yeah, his range defensively is nuts because of his dive range. So that has been a big deal for me. And then he's been crushing every righty I've faced. Like, almost 100 contact and 110 power versus right as a switch hitter. Great speed. I really think the card is really cracked. So I wanted to bring him up high on this list.
And to be fair, most caps are like 5'4". So you're right. Yeah, 6'5". Yeah. You know what? Maybe I was wrong. Maybe I should add to my list too. That was one of my honorable mentions. Also, I think I mentioned. So you don't mind his swing at all. It's a really nice one, huh?
It's super nice. Yeah. I mean, I was using him on Legend against Randy, and I was turning on up and in fastballs. So
nice.
That's his weaker side.
You're not worried about his vision at all, being 50?
Oh, jeez.
What? You can actually, miss a ball on Legend. The foul balls aren't as easy.
It's true. I should go back and look at my strikeouts with him per at bat or something. But to be honest, I've only used him for like 3 days because that's how long he's been out. But he has checked all the boxes for me.
That's hot.
All right, let me tell you somebody who will check all the boxes for you at the same position. But if you want to, where I'm using him is at second base. Yeah, he's not a switch hitter or as tall. What is he? He is 6'1", not 6'5". Noel V. Marte is somebody I think knocks out Javi Baez. Now, again, granted, it's only a 10-game sample size, so I do think it's a decent amount, but I don't think that's a large amount, right? It's not like one game. Oh, he went 4 for 4. 10 games, he's hitting 520 all on Legend. OPS of just shy of 2,000.
Jeez.
And this is again when we talk about what the meta actually is. His card is it. Because against righties, he's 105. Well, again, parallel 1, so. But against righties, he's 105 contact and 101 power. So at least there, his power is close enough to his contact where he doesn't necessarily line out a lot. He still gets a good angle. But against lefties, 99 contact versus left with 113 power versus left at shortstop with good speed. Where that is clearly going to be like the meta, right? That is the kind of gap Juan Soto has going.
Can you explain that, the meta and where you found it and everything? You did in the Outfielders videos, but maybe people want to see it yeah.
And this one, who I heard it from would have been Ochev, and you could find it in the player handbook or something like that. When you're in a game, just click pause, find the player handbook, go to the last page of it. They talk about what vision would mean, not what they told you, what contact and power ratios will end up meaning and how they play. And that's why you go, wow, Ketel Marte has 83 power. He should still be, I get there will be a little bit more lineouts, but you would think he would be really, really good because he should be. But the gap between his contact and power is relatively wide. That will explain the lineouts. His contact is too much higher than his power. Therefore, from what they tell you in the handbook, he's going to hit things more on a line, not necessarily with an angle. When they're, comparable, so in this case with Marte, 105 contact with 101 power versus right, they still can line out, but they will more likely get the launch angle. However, now that we flip this into his contact and power versus left, 99 contact versus level, 113 power versus left, he will be the king of no touchies, like Juan Soto, like some of the other cards where the contact isn't anywhere near as good as their power. The game essentially makes that up for you. They will run a higher, well, not risk, but a higher chance of you not being on the ball, but you're at least looking in the direction, right? That's what they want to use. So you're at least looking in the direction of the ball, so it'll still get launched, even though it's not on the inside of the PCI. The whole outer of the ball is on the outer of the PCI. That is essentially what they mean by the game is playing as intended. That's what the handbook says. So pay attention to that. Who are the cards that are getting the no touchies? Is it someone who's got insanely high power and not as great of contact, or is it the inverse? Because I'll tell you who doesn't get no touchies, and that's definitely Marte, Clemente, those types of cards. They don't get them.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like a built-in reward system for hitting the ball with a smaller PCI. It's kind of crazy.
It's not like, what was that MLB 18 where Joey Gallo was Immortal Gallo because he had like 0 contact but all power. Yeah. So like even if you got the PCI near it, it was going to be a home run.
And 18 played so bad that the number one most important thing was swing, pretty much.
Yeah.
So,
Tony Gwynn was insane.
yeah.
Everyone was using Tony Gwynn because he could go deep.
Different world.
Yeah. All right. My number 3 is, I feel like, predictable. Frank Thomas.
I wonder if our top 3s are going to be the same.
I would assume so, but
I definitely don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. Frank Thomas is here, and he's just there, I guess.
Yeah,
he's got really good
Clemente
attributes.
boat, but Bet plays better.
He's just kind of boring, but he's good. Yeah, and that's all I gotta say about Frank. I'm not like super in love with his swing, but I think his attributes just overwhelm pitchers all year long. That he's been good.
Yeah, so. I have Frank at 3 also, and yeah, he's just best pure first baseman in the game, and been using him all year. Kind of bored of him, but he's amazing. So I'm in the same boat as you, Fox.
Yeah. All right, let's shock the world here, Gunsky.
Well, we're not quite there yet, but George Brett is going to be number 3 for me because
that does shock me.
Shocking.
Yeah, because of the price differential. He's going to be more expensive than Frank. Frank is just finishing at least the AL, and George Brett's finishing a gigantic collection. So I felt like that is good enough to separate the two because statistically speaking, similar. At least one's right-handed, one's left-handed, so you can have a preference there. But in this case, I'm not going to have that preference. I'm going to look at more things that who's easier to obtain. I think that's Frank compared to George Brett. And Frank does have a slight edge on the hitting stats, but not drastic by any means.
Why is Frank's hitting stats better?
2. Well, no. I mean, like, for me personally, like, how I hit with him. As opposed to George Brett, right? Those stats, they're comparable to me. Frank just has what I like, I guess. I don't know.
I got that question about George. Is your whole contact and powers? George has got much better contact and power. Does he have that same issue with you?
No. He would be an outlier. Now, granted, against righties, it makes more sense. 125, 115. It's not a drastic difference. He does, to be fair, I started paying attention to him more. He does hit more line drives. His home runs are not typically moonshots. He definitely has hit a couple. But his home runs are typically screamers on a line out.
I was going to say that. He hits a ton of line drives, but his line drives also go over the fence.
But against lefties, like a card that I noticed a different trend because he has that same thing for me where, yes, he has lower power, but Joe Mauer, he had really bad power versus left. But if you threw a pitch inside and it was squared up, it was leaving 500 feet. George Brett's the same way. Now, I also hit opposite field tanks with George Brett. That would never happen with Joe Mauer. But you would think at least 125 to 101 would be drastic, at least not with George Brett's swing. He still just pisses on the ball. And again, they will be more likely to be line drives, but those line drives are still getting out. They're not Ketel Marte style line drives.
Well, all right. That did kind of shock me. Even though you said you got to wait to shock the world. That one shocked me to put George Brett number 3. My number 2 is Jackie Robinson. The recently released now. I haven't used him a whole lot. Some I use more than others, but overall, he's what I look for in a middle linebacker. Middle infielder, a
top 2 weeks away, Fox.
Yeah, a little bit away from that. Top speed, 99 speed at parallel 3, and overall, hopefully it works out. I don't know. I've been up and down on Jackie cards the last couple years with his swing. This year, it's been okay so far. And maybe I'll hear about your opinion if you got Jackie next. Brev, or
I have Jackie at 2 also.
You got Jackie at 2 also. Okay.
To be fair, because I need to say something because I didn't even think about it because I don't have him, and I do think he would be a really good card. I just think when I am factoring in the price, that's why I was like, I can't put him on this list, right? Because I do want to weigh in everything. I do think he's going to be a great card. To be fair, I don't know if I would use him over no LV Marte. I don't know if I would actually do that because of how good I think he is. But I've played people with Jackie. He has destroyed me. It's just, again, the 1.5 mil is a hard thing for me to get by.
Yeah, he's more than Brett, right? He might be. I don't know.
I don't know about. Well, he might now. The gap may be the same. In terms of like when George Brett was first released, no, he was like 3 mil or something. But now with the amount of cards and how cheap they can be, I bet you they are similar.
Well, personally, I love Jackie, and I do have him. I picked him up with the flash sales the day that the Kutch collection dropped. So I've been using him since then, and yeah, I love his cards every year. He definitely can line out at times, but it's not nearly as bad as Clemente. Like, for some reason, I think Jackie plays way better than Clemente, even though they're really similar hitting stat-wise. Jackie also has way more speed, so he can kind of like stretch extra bases too. And covering second base with a card like that, like Diamond Shield and 99 speed at parallel 3 is about as good as it gets. And you can raise the power up a bit with parallels too, so... Yeah, he's a pretty strong number 2 for me. I like the card. I've been having tons of success with him. Even on like, I was using him in the event and even on All-Star, where typically cards like that don't perform too well for me anyway, because they just have too much contact. He was still doing really well. So,
what price point would you say he's a must-do? Or what price?
It depends entirely on how you feel about your second base position. Like, I still know people tell me all the time in chat they can't get off of Utley.
I got off of him in the first month. No,
it's
it
crazy
didn't take long.
How different people's experiences are. But the thing is, it's not just 1.5 mil. It's 1.5 mil gone forever, right?
Well, yeah,
it's not a sellable card. So it's like...
To be fair, though, there is some really good cards that you do get alongside of him, right? Juan Soto, I think J-Rod's really good. Two of
my top 3 outfielders from the outfielder list.
So it's not like it's 1.5 mil and it's only him. So I definitely take that into account. But I'm like, to never be able to get that back, and these are the cards, and I know there will be outfielders better than these two at some point. And that could still be plenty of ways away, by the way. But I'm like, for Jackie,
Jackie's definitely not worth it in my opinion. For 98% of people, that if you play an All-Star, Jackie's not worth it. I think there's definitely some of the guys even lower on my list I'd rather have for the price, like Jose Ramirez that I talked about. So overall, like, yeah, he's cool, but like only if you need it on like Hall of Fame legend difficulty for that contact.
But that's why I even say like Noel V. Marte. Shove him at second. Yeah, it's out of position, but he still gets 76 fielding with 88 speed and an 89 arm. He's still very good out of position at second base, and he fits more of that meta of he's just squared up. It's gonna go. It's gonna fly.
You won't play George Brett out of position, but you will play this Marte.
Well, because George Brett out of position, let's do the math here. George Brett out of position at second base is 56 fielding. It is explaining why he can't turn a double play. I put Marte at second base. He still has 76 fielding. He turns a double play. He's reacting to the ball. It's still a silver shield, not a common shield. And it's not like an out of position, right? This is a shortstop who still has those animations, but at second base. So he's still able to do everything.
The out of position penalties are less if it's like a comparable position. So like shortstop can play second base out of position with a less penalty than third base can play second base out of position, because they have basically third and first together and short and second together. So playing Brett at second is a huge penalty, whereas Marte is a shortstop, so it's not as bad, just to explain it.
Yeah, it looks like, so I'm moving it here. So like Marte's reaction at shortstop's 83 for me, and at second base it's 74. Now, George Brett's reaction at third base is 84, but at second base, it's 50. So it's a significant difference. That's a very good point there. All right, cool. All right, well, who you got at number 2 then? Gunsky?
Frank Thomas.
Nice.
Frank Thomas is going to be number 2. I get it. He's been on my squad since day one. I agree that he's boring, but there's just something every time he's at the plate, I go, yeah, my opponent's fucked. Like, this ball's leaving. Like, it doesn't matter, righty, lefty. He shows up, I go, thank God. That's why you're hitting 3 or 4 every single game. There's people on in front of you. Good.
They're coming home.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure I know me and Brev's number one, right? You got Brett number one.
Yeah.
Okay.
I still think he's the best card. Well, besides Kutch.
Yeah. They're incredible. Anything else you want to say on Brett?
No, just I'm happy they juiced him as much as they did, because he has a hard time getting love throughout the years, because people would always rather use Chipper if they had the choice, right? So I'm glad that he's getting a bunch of months in the spotlight.
Yeah, it's kind of neat. All right, I'm super interested in this, Gunski. Who's your number one infielder if it's not Jackie or anybody we expect?
All right, number one, due to the price point, due to everything, due to him being statistically still my best hitter, Mike Arriola's, Mike Napoli.
Okay, I like it. I'm here for it. Number one for you, huh?
But I think it's not even just for me, because that's what I'm saying. Let me break it down, right? You have a card that is here right now that I would deem is endgame. I don't know what catcher really has the potential to push him off other than Jimmy Fox. And even then I go, it's probably just going to be an inverse of the two, right? So he'll be max contact, roughly speaking, but he'll have like 120 power versus left and then 80 versus right. It'll be kind of just this flip of the two. So do you want someone with reverse splits or normal splits? That's kind of the question you'll start asking yourself. And obviously, don't get me wrong, there is an Angels bias. I did grow up loving Mike Napoli, so there is a little bit of that. But again, let's take a look at his price right now as it stands. He's $70,000 for an endgame card at a position that's usually pretty hard to get an endgame card in, and you get it this early. And you can sell him at whatever time you want.
Huge. The juxtaposition between him and Jackie is really interesting. Like 1.5 million stub card that you can't sell, that is not necessarily even great on All-Star, compared to 70K card that is amazing for everyone pretty much and is game.
To break down where I think he's also a unicorn, because this is what me and Brev were talking about initially. You would think, oh, well, he's 125, contact, but he has 120 power and 85 power respectively versus left. Well, shouldn't he be essentially still a worse hitter versus left? Well, not for me, and I understand that's a little bit different, but also take into account the lefties that I face on Legend are almost exclusively named Randy Johnson, right? There isn't too many other lefties to go to in this game at the moment anyways. He's hitting 433 versus right, but 478 versus left. And again, he should be lining out more. This is not really happening. And you go, well, with the 120 power versus right, he should be hitting and slugging way better. Well, he's not. In 67 ABs versus lefties, he has 15 home runs. In 157 ABs versus righties, he has 27. He is clearly outslugging, not even close, versus left. Against, I would deem, harder pitchers. I think Randy Johnson is still probably one of the better pitchers in the game. That's who I almost always face. So the fact that he's hitting 478 on what should be his weaker side versus one of the tougher pitchers, yep, I'm all for it. For 70K, oh yeah, he's number one.
I may or may not have just put in a buy order. Just so
70K. I mean, it's just, that's why I'm like, I can't really have Jackie in here. I think he would be a great card, but 1.5 mil is just to never see back, to not, and I haven't used him, so I can't really talk much on him. I think he would be fine. But, again, another card like Noelvi Marte that he's what, 50 if that? Yeah, he's 55K. I could sell him whenever I want. I'm not locked into anything, and he has more power. He fits the meta a little bit better. I'll take that.
Fair.
The price point is more respectable.
Well, there it is. Our top 10 are done. Take it away, Brev.
I'm still daydreaming about hitting dingers with Napoli. I think you should probably buy him now too if you want him, because I don't know if those program cards are obtainable after the program ends. Could be wrong about that.
There are not flashback packs for those?
I don't know, because he's like the actual BR program card, not like in the packs.
Yeah.
He's not like a flawless. So I don't know.
Yeah.
When is even the next BR supposed to be? Like,
it's in like 10-ish days.
Okay.
I still have to do the
7
program.
days.
All right, well, there's our
probably
top.
jump.
Yeah, it could go up for sure.
You're right. They're not in the flashbacks. It looks like.
Yeah, and he's in game, so maybe an investment there. But that was our top 10 infielders. I liked all the hot takes. It's good to have variety. I like that Gunski included price too, because that's something we've definitely skipped on in the past. Appreciate you guys watching. Again, we have top 10 outfielders on Gutfoxx's channel and top 10 starting pitchers on McGunski's channel. Both of those in the description below. Drop them a sub, like their videos, show them some support. Thank you guys for watching. Take care, and we'll see you next time.